So let's do this follow-up with Rev about people that have been getting their videos taken down based on copyright, which, by the way, we just watched Nick's video. There is absolutely nothing of copyrighted material in there. There's absolutely no copyrighted music. There is no copyrighted content at all. The undertone music that he's got, I'm sure is royalty free. So there is undoubted, there is nothing that could be identified as copyrighted content. I'm guessing, if I were to hazard a guess, I would not be surprised if it's someone that's part of the fraud network that is deliberately trying to take down Nick's videos and then reacts to his videos. RE Media? Good question. Who is RE Media? Maybe Rev's going to get into that, so let's find out.
Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So nothing gets people more angry and more in favor of censorship than simply exposing the truth. And what I'm going to cover in today's video should disturb you on multiple levels, because not only do we have another round of massive fraud being exposed by the independent journalist Nick Shirley, we also have seen his video and the videos of those reacting to him, including content creators like Asmongold, have their videos taken down by what seems to be malicious abuse of the copyright system on YouTube by random actors like RE Media. To add another layer to this, it appears that the governor of the state where this report took place, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, through the official account on Twitter, has insinuated that Nick Shirley is a predator for exposing...
Show it, Rev. Come on. I've seen the tweet. Like, I'll give it a minute to see if Rev pops the tweet up in question that I know exactly what he's talking about. I'm going to wait to see if he pops it up to comment on it.
Fraud within his states. Make it make sense, ladies and gentlemen. But in case you don't know...
Okay, he's not showing it. So, basically, this is the official press office of Newsom. This is Gavin Newsom's official press office. And you know what they posted on Twitter after Nick's video came out? They posted a video of what is supposed to be a mockery of him in a suit, looking like a literal ghoul, like pale-faced, looking like a literal ghoul, with like cameras all over him, and doing like a creepy, like, where are the children? Acting like he's literally accusing him, like not so subtly trying to accuse him of being a predator. Yeah, like that was his response. Nick Shirley is exposing potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud. And the press office, the official press office of the governor, which means the governor is taking responsibility for anything put out by the press office, is basically their response to millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud that Nick exposed, is to meme at him and act like he is a predator. That is the official press office response. That's not the response of a government that is not like guilty of something and taking it seriously. That is not to basically meme on him and not so subtly accuse Nick of being a predator. That's the act of someone trying to hide. That's the act of someone trying to discredit an investigative journalist that has just uncovered a fuck ton of fraud being perpetuated by your government. And by the way, this has been a thing for a couple of years now, because basically Newsom is trying to basically beat Trump. That's the funny part of this. Newsom is actually trying to be a Democratic version of Donald Trump. Because all this fucker does is stupid ass memes that aren't even good. It's honestly really pathetic. It is literally a how do you do, fellow kids moment for the last several years. He is a fucking idiot. Yes. He is a nepo baby idiot that literally capitalized on his nepotism to gain a position of power within the government, and but then tries to pretend like I'm just like you fellow ghetto rats. When he went on that, like, like the what's it called? It wasn't a show, but he did like an event where where someone was interviewing him, and he's like, "Yeah, I got a real shitty SAT score, just like you people in the ghetto. I'm not smart either. I can't even read a speech. I'm a fucking moron." And my question is then, how the fuck are you the governor of a state if you're a moron? While you're busy pandering to black people. Like, I'm a moron just like you people. This guy is, ironically enough, he's showcasing how much of a fucking idiot he is.
Within his states. Make it make sense, ladies and gentlemen. But in case you don't know, Nick Shirley is a 23-year-old independent journalist who has been exposing fraud in many different areas in the United States. He went basically viral overnight thanks to this report about what he believes is massive fraud in Minnesota, where there was...
He didn't only go viral, he went governmental. Okay? Leave it, I will continue to give Nick this credit. His reporting in Minnesota not only went viral, it brought the hammer of the federal government down on Minnesota in multiple ways, got him in front of Congress to testify in front of Congress, and has actually caused multiple federal investigations, because Dr. Oz would not have gone to California, preceding Nick into California, talking about the fraudulent hospices, if Nick had not put in the work that he did in Minnesota. Give this man some credit. This man is an incredible journalist, and he's the kind of journalist that all of the mainstream media has wet dreams of being and knows they can never be. He is actually bringing back real investigative journalism that we have not seen for decades. And I do think that he is going to inspire a fuck ton of independent journalists who are not going to work for mainstream media. They're going to be YouTube journalists just like him. He is going to inspire a whole new crop of independent journalists that are going to be blowing the lid off so much shit.
It was largely a group of daycares run by Somali immigrants who were collecting millions of dollars a year from Minnesota taxpayers to run daycares that were essentially empty. And this would go extremely viral. This post on X alone has over 150 million views. This would get the attention of the White House, where he was invited to a related hearing. The president and vice president would both publicly acknowledge that they've seen the report from Nick Shirley. This was a big deal. And a lot of people saw what was happening in Minnesota, and they said, okay, that's great, but what about California? So that's one of the places he would go next. Just the other day, releasing a video titled, I Expose California's billion-dollar fraud.
Can I point out, how did this only get 542,000 views in after a day? Why is this not at 1 million views? I'll give you one guess as to why it's half the views that it likely should. Yeah. It's the same reason why when I do reacts to Nick Shirley, I get maybe half the views that I normally get. Because YouTube suppresses it. Absolutely. YouTube suppresses it. 100%.
Crisis where he's focusing not just on more daycares collecting potentially taxpayer dollars with fraudulent means, but also hospice care centers that are doing the same. Here is the intro to that video to give you guys an idea of what we're talking about here.
Could you just answer the question, what's the need for 1,000% increase in hospice care here inside of LA? Do you have the paperwork to enroll a little boy by the name of Joey?
You don't know what's going on.
Well, it says there's 14 children enrolled here on the state of California. That there is $6,000 per beneficiary. Can you give us any explanation? Where can we open a hospice at? Get the Maybach just like you.
California may have the largest amount of fraud in the country, as California is the state with the highest taxes and collects more money than any other state in America. It is filled with fraud. California's version of Medicaid, called Medi-Cal, has more than doubled since 2022 from $108 billion to a proposed $222 billion in 2026. Their population, however, has not grown exponentially.
And as I said during when we did the react, there is a factor here that's not being accounted for, which is how, like, granted, it's showing the enrollees. This is not showing the population of California. This is showing the enrollment of it, the enrollment of Medi-Cal. And there is a factor involved where, because this is the population up top here, the blue one, but it's also not factoring in the number of illegal immigrants in that state. That's something it's not factoring in. Because illegal immigrants don't, get censused. And I would not be surprised if an illegal immigrant, like if they hand out driver's license something to illegal immigrants, I would not be surprised if Newsom has something in place where if they're giving out a license or even a Medi-Cal information to an illegal immigrant, that it doesn't go onto any register, any database to indicate, that would facilitate popping them into this graph.
However, their spending has. There has been.
Oh yeah, sure. Sure, they were included in the last census because Biden ordered it. Yeah, sure, I believe that. Oh, sure. Yeah, I really think that the fraudulent state of California didn't fuck the numbers along with many other states. Yeah, I'm sure that the states did fuck with the numbers and deliberately leave illegal immigrants out of the census and just basically said, yeah, we're not doing that. Yeah, I'm sure they gave all the accurate numbers, including their illegal immigrants, that the sanctuary states do everything they can possible to protect and hide, but also give them whatever they want. Yeah, sure, I'm absolutely sure they were absolutely included in the census, even though Biden, who was going, yeah, include them in the census. Sure.
However, has not grown exponentially. However, their spending has. There has been 1,000% increase in hospice care in the Los Angeles County. In fact, 1 out of every $10 of home health care in America is spent in Los Angeles. On top of that, their government-funded daycare programs are filled with violations. While they continue to give money to these fraudsters, it is estimated that the fraud in California could be in the hundreds of billions of dollars. In this video, we'll be going face-to-face with these fraudsters, confronting them.
We never did see her, by the way. We never did see her in his video.
As they defraud the American taxpayer out of millions and billions of dollars, as they live their lives in luxury, driving around luxurious cars that cost more than $100,000 that you actually paid for.
So you can watch the entire video if you want the full context, but even seeing that intro, you get a sense that there's something very wrong here, that millions, possibly billions of taxpayer dollars are being wasted on these daycare and hospice care centers, where you have parking lots filled with millions of dollars of luxury vehicles, with offices that have no children being taken care of, no hospice patients being taken care of, nothing of the sort. There are some.
Well, okay, this is a bit of a misnomer, and this is where I have to offer correction. The office, like the patients are not being taken care of in the offices of these hospices. The whole thing with the hospice care is, as I understand it, with these hospice offices, they are facilitators, and as I understand it, what the legitimate hospices do is they are an office. Someone comes into their office and they say, I have an elderly parent, I have an elderly grandparent that requires hospice care, what these offices would do, yeah, it does depend on the type. Absolutely. I'm going by like in-home. They're effectively a facilitation office where they will basically contract out to nurses or medical professionals that they have on retainer or that they have under employment to send them to the patient's home. So it's like, yes, some of these some hospices might actually be in facility care, but those are typically much larger, obviously. But a great deal of them would be like home hospice care, where they are actually sending typically like an RN to a client's house or a patient's house to care for them as hospice. So in that respect, it's not so much that he should be, because Nick was not expecting patients to be in any of these hospices. Bear that in mind. He never once said he was expecting patients to be in any of these offices because they are facilitators. They are not the actual care facility itself. At least the ones that he visited were not purporting themselves to be an actual hospice care facility. They were basically just the management of their hospice nurses. That's it. So that's one correction I do need to give an offering there in regards to what Brad was saying.
Something very wrong here, and you can see the reactions from people running these supposed daycares and hospice care centers who are very defensive and very aggressive when simply asked, what are you doing with this money? And this is exactly what we saw in Minnesota, and it's happening again here in California. Now, this whole system is very simple, as pointed out by Nick Shirley. This is how it works. Get a small office in LA, collect Medicare beneficiary numbers, enroll people into hospice, bill the government for millions, get caught or become suspicious, pack up and walk away with millions. And that is something that people are doing. And the people featured in these sorts of videos, the people getting caught potentially doing this, these are not 5,000 IQ mastermind criminals. These people are idiots. But the problem is, they've been allowed to get away with this stuff for so long.
And therein lies the big thing. Not only California, but pretty much like all of the country when it comes to the hospice stuff here, it has been made so easy to do it that dumb fucks are able to do it. Because the system that is in place is so horribly pathetic. Because this was put in place with zero checks and balances whatsoever, literally any jack-off with half a brain can do this, because this is literally all you need to do. You can, you get an office, you get the beneficiary numbers through whatever means, because there's stories about like, oh, we can get you free shit. We just need your Medicare number to look and see what's available to you. Old people, they don't get fraud half the time. Most of the time, they don't understand that they're being defrauded. So they'll just go, oh, I can get free shit? Okay, here's my Medicare number. They'll take that number and they'll go, oh, I'm sorry. Turns out you don't actually qualify for anything. Thanks for your Medicare number. Now I'm going to bill the government for millions of dollars under your name. You literally can be half retarded and still be able to do this. That's how bad the system in and of itself is, with absolutely zero checks and balances in place.
Because people are afraid of being called bad words or bad labels for pointing this stuff out. And it's gone completely rampant, and the people doing it are so unafraid of consequences that they're not even trying to cover it up anymore. Now, of course, we had this very, very serious report, potentially, again, millions, if not billions, in fraud taking place in California. How do you think the official government account for California's governor, Gavin Newsom, would respond to Nick Shirley with this?
There it is. There it is right there. That's the meme that I was talking about. This is how the official press office account responded to Nick's report of hundreds of millions of dollars in potential fraud in the state of California. This is how seriously they took it. Like, seriously, like, California, what are you doing? What do you do in California? You want to go reeing and screaming because you think Orange Man bad? Your own governor is becoming his own version of Orange Man. This is the insane part. This is why you cannot reason with SJRs. This is why you shouldn't even converse with SJRs. Because they are cheering on their own Orange Man. Let's not fuck with it. Gavin Newsom is literally becoming a Democratic version of Orange Man Bad. And they're cheering it on. They're just cheering it on. And they're cheering on the official press account of the governor of California, basically accusing a U.S. citizen with zero proof, zero evidence to substantiate this, accusing him of being a pedophile. Honestly, if I was Nick, I would consider a slander suit against the state of California. This, I think, even if Nick couldn't win it, even if he couldn't win it, I imagine he would be able to you'd be able to get the money for a lawyer. Hell, there might even be lawyers that would do this case pro bono just for the exposure and bring a slander suit against California and just expose this all to the world. Because, like, not everybody knows that this tweet exists. Take this tweet along with every other Newsom tweet that he's been using, Newsom's tweet to make fun of him, and put it on blast for the world to see. He might not win. Good chance that Nick might not win, but there'd be discovery. And there would be this evidence portrayed in open court. And Nick and his attorneys can say, this is the response of the state government of California to potential fraud happening. They try and label me as a predator, which is not the behavior of a government that is not trying to hide something. The only reason why you would have this response is if you're trying to hide something, or you're desperately trying to discredit the person bringing these allegations against the state.
A meme. And I've said this before, it is very cringe-inducing to see how much meme culture has entered into official government accounts. But nevertheless, you can see they say Nick Shirley right now, with an AI-generated photo of him with 1 million cameras saying, hey, can I see your kids? So they are heavily implying that he...
By the way, you notice something else about this picture? Anything in particular that you notice about this that kind of stands out to you? Notice the suit. What does the suit remind you of? What does the suit that this AI put him in? Because I guarantee you they specifically did the suit. Blue suit, red tie. Oh yeah, looks familiar, doesn't it? Blue suit. Granted, the AI fucked up and basically started with a suit and then turned it into a hoodie. But yeah, I guarantee this was not by mistake. This was not an accident. They deliberately did this. They probably told the AI put him in a suit like Donald Trump. That was deliberate right there. Blue suit, red tie. That was 100% deliberate.
Some kind of a predator. So this is their response to massive fraud being exposed by Nick Shirley. They're trying to say, well, you're a predator because we made a meme with AI to, I guess, back that up. Now, if this sort of tactic here seems familiar, well, it's because it is familiar. Last time with the Minnesota daycare fraud, Hassan Piker did basically the same thing.
God, I'm so sick of hearing about this fucking terrorist.
Of these fraudsters, trying to basically insinuate that Nick Shirley or anyone trying to seek proof that these people are doing what they're being paid to do are actually doing it. And he...
Okay. I'm sorry. I've got to talk. I goes side tangent. Side tangent. I know you're shocked. Chat, you guys know that Hassan went to the Vanity Fair Oscar party, right? You guys heard about that. If you guys heard about that the Oscars, you know, I'm sure nobody realized that the Oscars even happened this weekend because nobody gives a fuck. But he went to the Vanity Fair Oscar party wearing a suit that, as someone else put, made him look like a Roblox character. So yeah, you know, where all of the movie stars are with press and interviews and photography. Yeah, he went to that party. There's no proof of this, but it's very strongly suspected he didn't get an invite to that. He paid to go to that. Because for the Vanity Fair Oscar party, if you are someone that has a lot of money and are a actually, let me find the quote. Let me Let me find that quote. I will actually read the quote to you of how it works. Tickets to the exclusive Vanity Fair Oscar party can be purchased by non-A-listers for around $25,000 through brokers. While many celebrities are invited, individuals with high net worth or mid-tier fame can pay substantial fees for access to the prestigious events. Yeah, and for those of you that didn't see it, Hassan was trying to say, well, I had to go. Like, people were calling him out, like, why? You're a socialist. Why are you going to a party that's all about capitalism? And his excuses, well, I live in America. Duh. I live in America, so of course I have to go to this, rich capitalistic party. He literally bought his way in for 25 grand because he is of low-tier fame, just so he could get FaceTime in front of the cameras. He literally spent $25,000 to go to the Oscar party just to pretend like he's special so he could get the clout. How fucking pathetic. And then he tried to make an excuse like, well, I had to go, acting like he was invited and he just had to go. No, he bought his way in. He bought his way in because he's pathetic and desperate for attention. He is a fucking child working as someone special, and it's fucking hilarious. Anyway, side tangent, I just wanted to bring that up.
Would insinuate that he is a predator for trying to do so, saying he's storming into daycare centers with kids in it with a camera, which the irony is, of course, that in Minnesota, there were no kids because these fake daycare centers were completely empty while the owners were collecting millions. And after an exchange with Nick Shirley, he would double down on this, saying that his crew came in screaming, "Show me the children now," which of course he never said. But again, essentially accusing Nick Shirley and anyone on his crew.
But Nick Shirley never said, "Show me the children now." But you know what Hassan said? About capitalists, kill them and paint the streets red with their capitalistic blood. Hassan actually did say that, just as a reminder. He actually did say you should kill Congressman Rick Scott. He did say that. Leave us not forget about that.
Of being creeps and predators for trying to expose fraud on a massive scale. Basically, Hassan Piker is looking at Nick Shirley, an independent journalist who's actually making an impact, and the jealousy is boiling over. This guy, Hassan, doesn't want to actually combat fraud on a massive scale. He just wants to get a win over everyone and push his own agenda, even if it makes him look like a massive hypocrite, and quite frankly, completely out of bounds, making these sorts of insinuations. But then again, Hassan and Gavin Newsom kind of basically from the same bunch, This is someone that Hassan has been gunning for, trying to destroy the country. Onto his stream. In fact, here is a cringe-inducing tweet of Hassan desperately begging Governor Gavin Newsom to come onto his stream.
I know you and I, Big Gav, listen, Big Gavy Gav. I'm talking to you and you only. Everybody else tune out. Everybody else tune out of the broadcast. This is just between me and Big Gav. Gruesome.
God's sake.
Governor Gavin Newsom. It's just you and me right now, baby. Listen.
Okay, everything that he's about to say, I'm going to translate to you because God help me, I actually speak dumb fucking retard. Everything he's about to say is, when you put it through the dumb fuck retard translator, is simply this. Gavin Newsom, if you come into my podcast, I'll get on my knees and suck your dick for the next 4 hours. Please come to my stream and let me suck your dick. Please, Gavin, I'm begging you. I want to suck your micro penis because I'm jealous of it because mine's inverted. That's the transmission. That's the translation of anything that he is about to say right now.
Listen to my voice. You want to make this pivot to the left? You know where to come. Okay?
Again.
You want to make this pivot to the left? You know where to come.
titties. He wants to get it splashed all over his titties. He wants a full bukkake from Misko. Oh yes. He wants the full bukkake treatment from him.
Okay, you know where to come.
I'm gonna come.
Come to me, Gavin. Come to me. Let's have a conversation. I am sincerely interested in seeing what you're about. You've been my governor for as long as I can remember. I've paid a lot of taxes in this fucking state, okay? I make a good amount of money here. I'm asking you not just as a tax-paying citizen, but as someone who wants to really understand where you're coming from. Now that you...
He wants his dick in his mouth. That's what he wants to understand. He wants to understand what the texture of Gavin Newsom's micro dick feels like on his tongue as he desperately gargles it or tries to gargle it down his throat. But it's not going to quite reach because Gavin Newsom has a micro penis that Hassan is jealous of because Hassan's is micro, but it's also inverted. So he wants to know what the feeling of that micro penis would be like on his tongue because he knows he will never be able to have another person experience his because it is inverted and up inside of him and it's never coming out. So he just wants to rain on Gavin Newsom's cock.
You are pivoting as a radical visionary singing the praises of Yahya Sinwar. I need to hear from you. Okay?
Was that a terrorist thing he just said? The Hessin Noir, like, was that him basically saying he wants Gavin Newsom to basically spout terrorist shit too? Not that I think Newsom would even hesitate to do so. I have no doubt that Gavin Newsom would, in a heartbeat, just espouse the praises of of Islamic terrorism. I don't doubt that for a second. I just want to be clear. I understand what he was saying.
I need to hear from you, Gav.
Yep, that's a grown man calling the governor of California Big Gavy Gav and basically saying, I pay a lot of tax money because I make a lot of money. Therefore, you owe me one.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely shameless behavior. But going back to the post made by the official account, again, heavily insinuating that Nick Shirley is a predator for simply exposing fraud within the state of California. Now, of course, I wasn't born yesterday. I know this account is being run by a group of interns. It's very obvious that's what's going on. Governor Gavin Newsom is not sitting there tweeting this stuff out. But
but he's responsible for it. If this is the official account for the press office of Gavin Newsom, he's responsible for it. Anything said by this Twitter account comes back on him. Anything said by this Twitter account, it's as if it come directly from Gavin Newsom himself because he's authorized this account to speak for him. Yeah, the bullshit ends with him. It starts with them and ends with him. So if they fuck up, it's his fuck up too because they are his social media mouthpiece. And by having an official press office account like this, anything that is said by them should be taken to mean that it is coming from Gavin Newsom himself. So basically, by not retracting it, Gavin Newsom is publicly claiming that Nick Shirley is a pedophile. That is what is happening here, and that's why I said Nick Shirley should look into doing a slander case against the government of California and against Governor Gavin Newsom. He's not going to win. There's no doubt that Nick will not win that. But it does broadcast it. It forces them to waste time in defending basically making a meme painting him as a predator. It'll force them to actually do that, and and there will be cameras there. Nick will make sure of that, and it'll be broadcast to the entire country. You're right. It is libel, not slander. You are correct. Libel is written, slander is verbal. You are correct. Same shit, different data.
I'm sorry, feel free to disagree with me. If you are a government's verified account, and it's in your name, specifically as the governor, I think you should be responsible for everything you're saying on this account unless you come out and disavow it. Because if you're going to put your name on this and get the government verified check mark next to your name, if you're going to say stuff like this, those are attributable to you.
Why wouldn't he win? Because libel and slander cases are exceedingly difficult to win. They are some of the most difficult civil cases to ever win in court. And I have no doubt that not only would the government of California be able to alleviate responsibility for libel in this case, the courts in California are crooked as hell. Nick has already been painted as a quote-unquote MAGA journalist. So yeah, the courts in California would side with the state anyway, and they tell Nick to fuck off. That's not the point, though. The point is to facilitate the exposure. The press will be there to expose the bullshit that the state would try and use to basically say there's no problem with the governor's office painting him in the light of a predator. That's the value. The value is in exposing their lies and that the way they try and twist the facts and showcasing it to the world.
You should have to answer for this. I don't see why any other possibility should exist. You should be responsible for these words. And Nick surely would respond and achieve an amazing ratio. 266,000 likes versus the initial 25,000 from the governor's account, where he says, "You do realize I'm trying to help America eliminate fraud and waste,
Not to mention the retweets.
No need to try and make me look like the bad guy for exposing fraud. People are over it. Start working for the people and not against them." A very mature response, but do you see something right here? You can see at the beginning, people trying everything in their power to silence this guy and the message with a rate proposed in the community notes. Now, of course, I'm a part of it, so I can see what's being proposed here. And this is very interesting. You can see there's a note basically saying that his whole story is just unfounded. But I've never seen this before. So it's marked here, proposed by an experimental AI contributor responding to requests for a note. Like all contributors, AIs can make mistakes, verify accuracy. I've never seen this before. So apparently there were so many requests to add a note to this that Twitter's AI system came up with one for them and now is asking for upvotes to make it public, which has been failing because, of course, their attempts to basically say, "Nuh-uh, didn't happen," doesn't make any sense if you actually watch his video.
But by the way, notice what the note is. None of the child care centers featured in Nick Shirley's video have formal fraud allegations. They found centers operating as expected with child present, very vague. Investigations remain ongoing but have not documented fraud at visited sites. None of which Nick said. Nick didn't say any of that. He said, "I'm trying to help America eliminate fraud and waste. No need to try and make me look like the bad guy for exposing fraud." The community note has nothing to do with his tweet. Absolutely nothing. And by state inspectors found centers operating as expected with children present. Okay. Notice what the articles are. Notice what the articles are about. They're not even, the articles in question are not even about California. The articles being cited here are from Minnesota. They're from his visit in Minnesota. And KARE11 is probably a news station identifier. KARE11, that's probably like a Channel 11 news station and, you know, a local Channel 11 news station, that's all. But yeah, it's not even the California stuff. It's all the Minnesota stuff when he's talking about California.
Okay, this is shameless behavior. And you can see some of the comments responding to Governor Newsom's account. This person saying, "Nick literally asked to work with you to root out fraud in your state, something you should want to do, and you refused. Yes. California is $68 billion in debt, has the highest poverty rate in the nation. You think you'd want to know where the money is going, right, Gavin?" Here's another one saying he's exposing fraud, and this is your response. "If anything, you should be supporting him and probably paying him." Here's another one saying, "Going after Nick Shirley instead of the waste and fraud he is exposing tells us everything we need to know about you." Here's one saying, "This daycare isn't real." And the meme finishes by saying if those kids existed, they'd be very upset. Now, that was kind of the joke.
See, now this is how you mean. It's so basic, but the dumb fucks in the governor's office can't even meme right. Like, this is a basic fucking meme. And they could, and they couldn't even do that.
With the Minnesota daycare centers because there were no kids, right? He was trying to see if they're doing what they're being paid with tax dollars to do at these centers. And there was nobody there. It's a basic meme, but it checks out. There's no kids. But this is the disturbing element of the recent California video because, yes, some of these daycare centers were empty, but some of them were not. There were kids there. They were just being neglected.
So they're able to have daycares inside apartment buildings?
Yeah, this part.
Yes. So I've come across many of these. Some of these are on the third story of an apartment complex. It's only 1 bedroom, and yet the capacity is for 8 kids.
We just arrived at the daycare. We have 2 kids out here. I don't know if they're members of the daycare. There's no oversight right here. Can we talk to your teacher? Is your teacher there? So this is the first child we've ever encountered at one of these daycares. There's 2 kids out here right now, and we're gonna see if we can talk to the
licensee. It is, according to this paperwork, Shukri Jama.
Can we talk to the adult?
He is not here.
Not here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys all by yourself?
Yeah. No good adult.
Yeah,
no one's here.
it's...
No one's here. No.
And again, we don't know if these kids are part of the daycare, if they're wards of the daycare, or if these are the children of the fraudsters that live here, and they just left them alone. Again, it's California. It doesn't look like exactly the nicest part of California. And you have 2 kids playing outside by themselves where literally any homeless drug addict can snatch them up and sell them for some meth. That alone is disgusting, that they would leave 2 very young kids just out here alone by themselves for God knows how long. We don't even know how long the adults were gone from this site. We still don't know that. And why is the adult not being charged? I don't know. Because the court system in California doesn't give a fuck about people. It only gives a fuck about enriching themselves. And they're just like, well, fuck the people, right? Well, that's a good question. Is the door locked? Obviously, Nick can't check that because then he could be charged for breaking and entering. But it's still, like, these kids are playing outside where any predator can just snatch them up. Easy. Within 5 seconds, both of these kids could be gone and either be killed or trafficked into the sex trade. It is fucking disgusting that this was allowed to happen.
Okay, so you guys are all by yourself?
Okay. I can see by myself.
Yeah, okay, that's concerning. No one's watching those children, and they're all by themselves.
My heart is breaking right now. I can't. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and what makes you so emotional as a mother, seeing that those kids are just out by themselves?
Seeing the kids all by themselves. It's supposed to be a licensed daycare.
Like, this is not a nice area. You can see the buildings, but this is not a nice area. Just as a reminder, like, there are homeless people all over the place. And do you think any of them would think twice about snatching up one of those kids to try and sell them for fucking drugs? Like for a rock of crack or some meth? No, they do it in a heartbeat.
And there's no adult anywhere. What is going on?
So yeah, this goes a different level. We're not only seeing examples of what seems to be very suspicious daycares where there's seemingly no kids being taken care of from these people that are being paid with tax dollars to do so. But here's an example of, well, kids being taken care of, but in a very negligent and disturbing way, basically being left alone and to fend for themselves. And remember, you have Gavin Newsom's official government account on Twitter insinuating this guy is putting kids at risk with his reporting, and they don't even talk about this stuff. Not just the fraud, but also real kids being put in danger because of this fraud. They don't care about any of that. That's the disturbing angle here. But of course, like I said, there's a lot of shady stuff going on here. As reported here, for a time period, at least for a few hours, Nick Shirley's video was taken down on YouTube through a copyright takedown. Some RE media group blocked this video on copyright grounds. This video was down for several hours, which is very, very interesting because I don't really know what on earth could be happening, because he was filming locations. So they're basically trying to copyright take down a video because it highlighted physical buildings out in the world. That's insane. Now, of course, before we get into the updates regarding that, there were other people reacting to Nick Shirley's video, including Asmongold, who would also find himself in the similar situation that Nick Shirley ended up in. But here's some of the takes coming from Asmongold because I think it's important to the overall conversation.
Why are we letting this happen? Why are we letting ourselves get scammed by these morons?
As their backup facility, the
and keep this in mind. Nick Shirley is not an expert, okay? These are the room temperature IQ in Celsius. IQ people that are so obvious that anybody can tell that they're doing it wrong. So think about the ones that are at least partially competent.
And no one's doing anything to...
Like the ones that had like the ones I point out that had the office that looked official and had people in it and said the right things, that they were trained and probably experienced. They were slightly above the room IQ that Asmongold was talking about. The vast majority of the rest of them were dumb fucking kids that can't, like, the minute they get pressure put on them, they scatter and roach out. And again, and another point of note is what Nick did is he literally barely scratched the surface. He went to what, like 5 locations in the course of his video, maybe? And has exposed almost $200 million in fraud. That is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the amount of surface, like square mileage in California that is probably facilitating all of these fraudulent daycares. And Asmongold's right. You know, he's like, why are we letting them do this? Well, because in California, like, people are complicit. They're complacent. Sorry, they're complacent. Most of them are probably like, I just want to get my free shit from the government. I want to live in a communist utopia because I actually don't understand what communism is. And I basically just want to, like, you know, people are feeding me all the bullshit and lies about what communism actually is. And I'm just gobbling it up like it's a 5-course meal because I'm an idiot. I can't think for myself because critical thinking is a lost art in the modern society. And they just think, oh, we're just going to get all kinds of free shit. And ignore what's happening in New York. You know how New York is falling apart right now because of communism. Just don't ignore that. They weren't doing it right. We're going to get it right. We're 100% going to get it right. You're going to get all kinds of free shit. And of course, people are like, oh, free shit. Yeah, I want that. And don't even think beyond that statement. That's what. Is because basically the mass majority of the population in the state of California are fucking morons. They're uneducated, or they're illegal immigrants that don't even speak fucking English, and all they know is free shit good, work bad. That's all they know, so they don't care.
Stop it. So I think it's time we stand up.
Well, nobody wants to do anything about it because they don't want to get called names. It's actually really easy to solve this problem. It's super easy, but nobody wants to do it. That's the problem.
Yeah, it is easy. Lock them the fuck up. That's it. It's actually super easy. It's super easy thing to do. Do Minnesota Part 2. Bring in ICE, start rounding up the illegals, fire them back to where they came from, and then the FBI and the IRS can start can open up investigations onto all these fraudulent daycares and actually start arresting people. Like, actually, this is what I said during the video. They need to actually, unless they actually start arresting people, nothing's going to change. It is actually very simple. You start making arrests. I have little doubt that it would not be hard to do an investigation and make a case of fraud against every fucking one of them. But unless that happens, and unless you actually facilitate arrests, and unless you actually get convictions, nothing's going to happen. And until and to the third part, until you start getting judges off the bench that embrace communism and embrace letting predators rape and groom women and children, nothing's going to change. There needs to be the law, which is not going to happen, that, these judges that let off all these criminals, they need to get locked up too. Not going to happen because people in power do everything possible to retain their power, to include very unsavory things. It's a multi-layered issue. Like, yeah, it's fine to say, oh, it's very easy to solve this problem, except there are multiple factors, multiple barriers that you have to blast through in order to do it. And realistically, even now, with who we currently have in charge of the country, I don't think anyone's going to have the balls to actually do that and blast through these barriers to actually start getting shit done. I don't see anyone in government actually doing what needs to be done to get things moving, to get the country back to right. I don't. There's plenty of talky talk. There's a lot of yappy yap, a lot of people saying the right things. There's no action. Unless there is action, nothing changes. All of the congressional hearings, all of the pontificating by congressional members, by the president himself, all of that means jack shit unless you back it up with action. If there's no action, why should anybody give a shit? Why should anybody trust what you have to say? It's literally as basic as that. Even with what Asmongold is saying, oh, it's so easy, dudes. Yeah, who's going to back that up with action? Who's actually going to grab their balls and make the hard choices and do the actions to get things back to right? Spoiler alert, no one is. Because those in power will do everything possible to retain that power, and they can retain that power by talking a good game, but not actually doing anything. Because that's how it goes. Every 4 years, every 2 years, they talk a good game, nothing gets done. Every single time. So basically, wake me up when someone actually does something for once. Until then, shut the fuck up. I don't believe a goddamn word you say.
The website for them doesn't exist? Of course it doesn't exist. These are fake. They're fake. They're fake businesses. And the people that are working there know that. They know that because
no, they could do it without ignoring the laws. They could. The problem is because the whole thing is they are actually ignoring the laws by not doing anything. That's the ever-loving point. By not doing anything, they're actually ignoring the laws. If they actually if they actually took an action in accordance with the law, it would piss off a lot of people. And especially the people in positions of government, they don't want to risk their votes. They don't want to, they don't want to risk, okay, if we're going to actually enforce the law, then it also means enforcing the law against people that vote for them. And then they know that, okay, if you enforce the law against people that vote for them, then that whole base is going to turn against them. And they don't want to do that because they want to retain their power. They want to retain their position of power, authority, and money. They don't want to make the hard choices because they don't deal with what comes afterwards. That's it.
They're getting hired from inside of the family so nobody rats them out. That's what they do. And the more that you understand that it's actually all of them that are in on this, and you should start with the premise that they're all in on it. Now, there are going to be some people that aren't, of course, but I think the majority of these are all in on it, and that's why I think that you need to just go and mass deport these people.
Yeah, so I hit on that point a little bit earlier in the video, but I think it's a very important one. What we're seeing with the reporting from Nick Shirley involves people who are not criminal masterminds. These are the sloppy people. These are the low IQ people trying to run these scams who are just stupid enough to have a parking lot full of luxury SUVs outside of their supposed daycares and
okay, I got to address this. Jack, you said unleash, calling for Trump to unleash ICE and unleash ICE, unleash the FBI, unleash the IRS and Kelly. Yeah, cool. He did that in Minnesota. And yeah, ICE did operations and deported a whole fuckload of illegal immigrants. Yeah, great job there. I'm with you. What has the FBI and the IRS done in Minnesota? When have we heard being done? Yes, investigations can take some time, sure. What has come about that? We haven't heard about I would have expected to hear about these illegal, if there was actually doing something, that a shit ton of these illegal, these fraudulent daycare centers, fraudulent hospices would have shut down. We would have. It's been a couple months. I'd say this started what, January? Is it January it started? That's the, like, if the investigation. The problem is we're not hearing about any movement whatsoever. And yes, investigations can be quiet. I fully appreciate that. But again, until I hear arrests being made en masse, unless I start hearing about en masse arrests being made, until I hear the IRS garnishing the bank accounts of these fraudulent things, I'm not trusting anything's going to happen. Which is what I was talking about before. It's talking a good game, but until I see results, I don't give a fuck. I'm a results-oriented person in this issue. In this issue, right now, I give a fuck about the lip service, and I want to see the results. And then until I see the results, I don't think a fucking thing is going to happen. Because we've seen it time and time and time and time again. It's kind of just like the congressional hearings. What has come of these congressional hearings? Not a fucking thing. We haven't seen a fucking thing happen. Show me results, and I will cheer. If you show me results, I will be cheering. Until then, I don't fucking care. Until that happens, I don't want to fucking hear a word from these people.
Hospice centers. And they're also the ones who are approaching the cameras, the ones who don't even have an answer for the most basic questions, the type of people who aren't even trying to hide the fraud they're being investigated for. Okay, these are the lowest of the low in terms of criminal skills here. So imagine how many people who are competent who are also getting away with this because they're at least trying to cover their foot tracks here.
The fraud's going to be in the trillions.
Asmongold's video, titled This Is Beyond Insane, where he reacted to Nick Shirley's reports, was also taken down by RE Media, blocked on copyright grounds as well for several hours. Now, of course, you can research who RE Media is, and, well, they're a very confusing bunch. They do some real estate type development, I guess. If you look into their services, it's
marketing,
very confusing as to what they even do. Here's their kind of about me section saying our priority is to foster individualism and support personal and professional growth. We focus on developing each team members' abilities so they can increase their value in the marketplace, while at the same time providing an environment that keeps them committed to staying with us long term. Yada, 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 whatever any of this means. But it's a very disturbing situation.
It means absolutely nothing.
Where not only Nick Shirley, but anyone reacting to his video are getting taken down by this group who seems to own or at least work with some of the properties that were featured in the video. How on earth that has anything to do with copyright grounds?
It doesn't. This is desperation. They're hoping that people won't fight back against it. This is what these fraudulent companies do. We've seen this happen with multiple other content creators in the past. NXR was a big victim of this, where they would have they had a Chinese company that was constantly slapping them for copyright and getting their videos taken down when there was no actual copyright. And it's basically just either get money out of someone or in this case probably to silence them. That is more likely what's happening is it's just trying to silence them.
Is insane, and your guess is as good as mine. When you're submitting these sorts of takedowns, you are saying that I'm doing this in good faith under the threat of perjury, which is a crime. So I hope these people really know what they're doing. If that is in fact RE Media, the one we just looked at, doing these takedowns. Whether or not they target videos like mine, we'll have to wait and see. But the good news is, at least for now, it appears that Nick Shirley and Asmongold's videos are back up.
They're
but
up.
For several hours, they were in fact down, which is a very bizarre thing to see. It seems like they're basically being targeted by these campaigns to silence them.
Yep.
To silence them from spreading the truth about this fraud. And you know what? It's getting hit on all levels. You have people doing everything in their power to defend this behavior, and it's highly politicized. Okay, people are trying to disparage Nick Shirley and his reporting by saying basically the most outrageous thing, saying they are constantly discovering what medical plazas are.
Bear in mind, Evan Love's Wharf is an absolutely insane SJR that does this shit all the time. This is one of the terminally this Twitter poster here is one of the terminally online SJRs. I don't think he ever puts his phone down. He is constantly just barrage tweeting literally everything that is like right leaning in some way, and just like trolling basically. It's like literally just. This is a professional troll. I would not be surprised if he's doing it to try and make money out of it, because this guy posts on literally anything that's white leaning, even in the slightest.
Explain to me why there are millions of dollars of luxury vehicles sitting in the middle of.
By the way, I neglected to say this. Translation: I don't give a fuck what he says. He's completely full shit and doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's literally doing this just to basically rage bait for money. That's it. And Din Widler, thank you for the 5 gifted.
A motel that's supposed to be running hospice care. Does this make any sense to you? These people are so disingenuous, and yet 35,000 likes. But then you go down in the comments and no one agrees with it. It's the most artificial stuff
thank you,
you'll ever see.
Drowner.
But once again, Nick Shirley posted this onto X. It's getting millions and millions of views, and people are being exposed to this level of fraud that should disturb anyone watching this video. But the
undoubtedly
response
bought it likes
from not only detractors, but from government profiles and also people using the copyright system should disturb you deeply. Okay, obviously there is an attempt to silence the truth that's being exposed here, no matter who's sharing it, whether it's an independent journalist, a YouTuber reacting to the reports, and so on and so forth. It's all very disturbing, ladies and gentlemen. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, this is the fact that they're trying so desperately to take down any video of his or any react to it shows just how close Nick got. It shows just how close he is when it comes to exposing the fraud. They're scared. This is the act of people that are scared. This is the act of cornered animals. They're not protecting Gavin. They're protecting their own interests. I have no doubt that RE Media is probably mob run, and they're protecting their mob interests. That is likely what is happening. So we'll see what happens with my video tomorrow. Should be interesting.